Hey everybody, it's Jake Paine again here on my podcast, Pain to Purpose. And today is super exciting. I've got a friend of mine who I've had for a couple years now and somebody that I actually really admire in a lot of different areas, done a lot of different cool things. So really excited to get started today. Let's go. Bro, it's been a while. How you been?
Good, man. Thanks for that kind introduction.
My pleasure, bro. Yeah, I was actually really, as I was preparing and thinking about today, just really grateful that we've been able to connect for a couple years now. And it's really cool to see how you've developed over the past couple years.
Dude, I could say the same thing about you. You've been all over.
Thank you. I have, but you've really, man, you've done a lot of cool things that I feel like people even at your age normally haven't had the experience to do. You know what I mean? I remember when you first moved down, you're like, yeah, I've started and sold like 6 different businesses and all these different things. I'm like, dang, how old are you? We're about the same age. What? Like, what have I been doing? I've been slacking over here. But yeah, what are some of the things, just a recap of some of the things that you've been involved with?
I've worked for myself since 19, started 5 different companies, sold 4 of them before I made my way down here. And it was small companies, nothing crazy. The first one was an insurance brokerage.
Mhm.
We sold life insurance. Didn't know what I didn't know. I sold life insurance. I had 40 employees, 20 states, sold to another broker after a few years, then started a personal training company where we had 5 personal trainers in-house. That was like the fun company. It didn't make a lot of money. I sold that to one of my trainers after a couple of years.
You got pretty jacked in the whole process, right?
Yeah, that's when I was doing shows and I was a 3-4 sport athlete. And after college, I swam in college. So it's like, that was my fun company because I just knew health and wellness. Like, why don't I do this? Because I know everything about it. And then I realized quickly that I was babysitting everyone that I was training and all these wealthy people that I was training. I'm like, you guys, why am I babysitting you? You should know how to have confidence and you should be able to take care of yourself. You're successful in every other aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Why not this one?
Right.
So I didn't like it. After that, kind of ruined health and wellness for me. So I just
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. It was different. And then I took a step back from health and wellness after that, which was defeating. And I was in really good shape at that point.
You showed me some pictures. I was
like 255 pounds, 7% body fat, doing physique shows.
men's physique.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm thinking about doing one by the end of the
You
year.
should, man. You got the build for it.
Thank you. And I met with some guys and like I used to work out at Smash. It's an awesome gym.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, bro, we could totally do it. So
You should.
what were some of the things that you learned like through that process?
The training,
Yeah.
nutrition's everything. You could train all day long, but if your nutrition's not on point, doesn't matter. Yeah, that was the biggest thing.
Cool. I agree. I'm like, it's easy and fun to work out. It's like my favorite part of the
Yeah,
day.
it's great. Relieve stress, get you back on track. It's like screaming on a pillow. You feel a lot better after you do it.
So you did the fitness thing. You were doing the fitness app.
Yeah. And then one of my first clients from that company, I partnered with him and one of his colleagues, and we started opening pharmacies across the US. We opened 47 pharmacies, compound, topical, pain cream. And we got into that game late and we sold majority of them. Big Pharma was lobbying against us. So we sold 37 of them, closed 10 of them, still made a good amount of money. And during that same time, I started a medical distribution company selling like toxicology, blood testing, urine screens. And I helped independent physicians that weren't a part of a hospital or surgery center build out labs in their office to keep patients in-house and add 150, 250, 300 grand to their bottom line. So they wouldn't have to join a hospital or a surgery center.
Dude, that's awesome.
That was my biggest company. I sold that one to PE in 2018. And right after that, we started a medical billing and reimbursement claims for hospitals, surgery centers, and then a billing company for independent physicians. So they keep all their billings in-house.
So how were you selling these businesses? Were you like going through brokerages? Like
it was like meeting people randomly. I never intended to sell anything. It was just like I got introduced to people and they're like, do you want to sell? You have a good book of business. I really didn't know what I didn't know. So knowing what I know now, I could have made a lot more money on my exits.
Wow.
So it's been a learning process. Yeah, I still made higher than the average multiple, but not what I should have made. So I was taken advantage of because I was so young and didn't know. And I didn't really have mentors that were coaching me through those.
Sure. So what do you think you could have done to boost the multiple?
That's a long list of things. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. I didn't optimize anything. I wasn't using QuickBooks. It was more like everything was on a notebook.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have CRMs.
Really?
Yeah. It was just like, I was good at sales. I was good at coaching people to get good at sales. And then we would just hire, grow, and expand really quickly. There was no
Wow.
optimization.
So like you've you've started and been able to sell these things off. Have you considered doing more of that?
Yeah. We're doing it now, just on a different scale. So I started a private equity company a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And
Talk to
now,
me about that. I didn't know that.
yeah, now we're invested in boring businesses.
Okay.
Yeah. So car washes, self-storage,
Okay.
and new construction condos in Naples. So for our car washes, we have 65 employees. We have 4 express car washes up on the Panhandle. And then my role is CFO, VP of acquisitions and development for on the corporate side. So I'm basically expanding us. I go out, talk to the family offices, private equity, I raise the capital, and then we go out and as a group, we buy the land. We have our own construction company. We built the facility and we're trying to open up and build 35 to 40 more over the next 5 to 7 years before we get acquired. So much bigger than what I've done in the past.
Yeah. I feel like in everything that you did in the past, you may have had a couple partners, but it was primarily you, right?
I had partners in one of my companies. And then I had a company that failed and I had partners in that one.
That's awesome. Dude, I love that. Good for you, man. That's all because that's really where I'm going. So I'd love to talk about this. So like for me, like I started my product brand. It was insanely difficult for me at first, right? Like
Sure.
all new skills. Like I was just coming out of a breakup. I was broke as a joke. I'm like, okay, but it started growing.
You were
And
crushing it.
what'd you say?
I said you were crushing it. From outside looking in, it seemed like you were crushing.
Dude, thank you. Yeah.
You bought this Tesla, you bought this other car, you moved to Texas. I was like, this is good.
I was living by the beach. I was traveling. I'm like, I
Right.
look like a baller, but I had the hookups on a lot of different fronts. And yeah, things were going well, right? I learned so much. Like 9 out of 10 businesses with a broker don't sell. Isn't that crazy?
I believe that.
I believe that too.
Yeah.
Because the way that they want to sell a bit is you have to have proof of funds. You have to do everything this way. And also, it's just there's too many businesses for sale and not enough buyers.
Yeah.
Unless your business has a certain profit and revenue, you're just not going to get any multiple.
No.
Unless you have 2 to 5 million in top line revenue, your business, even if it's got a lot of profit, is only going to trade for maybe 3 to 5x, right?
That's average.
Average. But then once you get to 2 million profit, it's 25x.
It also depends on your industry.
But like if we're just speaking relative terms, your profit multiple greatly increases scale.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, I don't want to sell this. I want to buy more of this.
100%. A lot of people don't know. Like you have this one business that has 2 million EBITDA and you could get a multiple of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7x, whatever it is.
It's pretty good.
Go out and acquire more or start other locations, roll it up, open 10 more. Then your multiples go to 15, 24, 30. I've seen multiples in close to 100. That's insane.
Oh, so that's what I'm looking to do now is acquire other digital marketing ones and also some boring businesses as well. Because like digital marketing is my core.
Okay.
And so can we pull these things together? And then that can really apply to everything else, right? Like
Perfect.
digital marketing, accounting, like some of those skills like you need for everything. But I love what you guys are doing with car washes. So how'd you get involved with the car washes?
So when I started the private equity company, for a long time, I always wanted to get into certain classes of business, which were car washes, self-storage, because they've always proven tested time. They've been around for a long time, always made money. And it was just time for me to make that happen.
Yeah.
So that's what I figured out. And I was going through due diligence with a couple franchises, made it through the final steps with one that I really wanted to be a part of.
Sure.
And the day that I went through final stages with one of them, a dealer broker friend of mine introduced me. He said, hey, you should meet this guy. I know he's got a few car washes. He's looking to expand. Might be a good conversation for you. So I got approved by the franchise I wanted to be a part of. The next day I have this conversation with the gentleman that I was introduced to. I ask him what kind of car washes he has. He said they own their own construction company. They build them, they buy the land, and he's looking for capital partners. And I said, okay, this is the franchise I want to be a part of. And he said, it is a franchise. It's Tommy's Express. And I said, that's the franchise I want to be a part of. And I asked him, I said, are you open to partnering? I'll be the capital partner. You guys do the construction, and we join forces.
Yeah.
And it took us about a year to come to terms with our attorneys going back and forth. So now I'm vice chairman, second largest shareholder of the company. And then I'm in charge of our expansion. And then in 5 to 7 years, if everything goes well, we'll sell for 15 to 24x to a bigger group and then exit and go on to the next project. So,
wow, man.
yeah.
Dude, let's go. So how much capital have you raised?
Overall, for all projects?
Yeah.
North of 200 million. Most of it's for outside companies.
How do you do that?
It's building relationships and doing the things you say you're going to do, building trust. And then those people introduce you to other people. And you also have to have good deal flow. So over the last 2-3 years, I transitioned into raising money for outside companies. So people contracted me since I have relationships with family offices, private equity groups, venture capitalists, high net worth individuals, ultra high net worth individuals. They said, hey, Skyler, we need to raise this capital. New companies looking for seed rounds. And I was like, this is a lot of work for raising seed rounds for $1 million to $5 million.
Yeah.
Then I went into middle market, and then I ran into some groups that were doing $100 million plus deals only. So the $200 million plus, a couple of them were those big deals that went through, and I had to use a dealer broker for, but then I raised a lot of outside capital from the other deals.
So with that said, did you like join any networks and like kind of pay to play to get in front of people to pitch to things? Or was it like really just you delivered, and then they introduced you to somebody, and then you become the guy? Is that kind of how it worked? Or did you ever really pay to play to get in front of people?
Both. So there's a couple different networks on LinkedIn that I've joined.
Sure.
And it's a monthly subscription. You get in front of, it's like a big syndication. You have 200,000 people on a platform. You put your deal on the platform, and you have institutional investors, high net worth investors. You have private equity groups looking at your deal. And if they're interested, they reach out. Then on top of that, it's just building a network. So I reach out to people on LinkedIn every day, still to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
Just cold outreach. This is what I'm doing. I'd love to.
Yeah. And then my warm network, I meet with people all the time, and they just introduce me. So it's out of every meeting I have with someone that I know, it's usually I get 2 meetings out of that. And I introduce them to more people. So it just continues to multiply.
Have you ever considered selling this information?
No. Should I?
I know we've talked a little bit about multifamily, and we're at a really unique time right now with interest rates and how things are operating and where we're going.
Sure.
And specifically with multifamily, but then also to everything else. And once you start getting a good track record like what we have right now, one of the things we're starting to run into is raising capital. And it's, man, we got great deal flow. We got a great team. But now it's like, all right, we're expanding and we need to raise more capital. And so it's okay, I'm looking at who does this, who's successful at it. And they're all selling programs, products. Here's how you do it and everything.
Most of those people aren't really good at raising capital. They're making money from selling their programs.
Exactly. They're in raising capital is sales, right?
It's relationships. I tell everybody I'm terrible at sales, great with relationships.
So no, man, I feel like that's something that you could be, that's an awesome skill set. So like with those family offices, how did you get to know family offices?
Introductions and doing deals. So after you close a deal, then those families introduce you to other families. And it's the same with private equity groups. It's the same with high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individuals. It's a boys club.
It really is.
Yeah. Once you break that circle and you get into that trust, they introduce you to everybody else.
I don't know. I hit you up for something, or you came over, or we did something or whatever. And then it was at church or something, and I just saw who you were hanging out with, and how it bugged me a little bit. I'm like, man, Skyler's over here like hanging out with a whole bunch of like old guys, and he looks like he likes it. I'm like, does he? What's going on here? And I was like, yeah, like I think he's just doing his job and working and stuff. But then like over time, now that I'm like back a year later, a little more mature, doing similar things that you're doing now, and oh, I get it. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm in the same Bible study. I'm talking to the same people. I'm like, It's a different vibe. It's just different.
You learn so much more from those people. For me, it's funny. I have always had old friends. Like even when I was young, I was 21, 22 with my
Yeah.
first companies. All my friends were 45, 50. And everyone's like, why are you hanging out with all these old people? It makes me look at everything differently.
It does. And yeah, I've always had 40-some-year-old friends, even when I was in early 20s. But dude, we're talking 60s, 70s,
80s.
80s. I had lunch with a dude 74 years old. Absolutely loved it.
I have a mentor and a
Loved it.
friend who's close to 80. His name's George. You probably know who he is.
Yeah.
Great guy. Wealth of information. I feel like I
Wealth
could
of
just sit
information.
and listen to him all day long.
I got it in the sense of gleaning from a mentor, but it's just hitting a new level now. This is a great guy, and I really enjoy the relationship. He's doing his thing. I love it. These are the type of people I want to be around.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's awesome. So raising money. So that's what you're doing with the car washes and stuff. Now, is the real estate, like the self-storage and some of the other things, is that separate?
Yeah, it's all separate. So the self-storage is separate. We have one location and we're showing proof of concept. It's a new model. So we have an LOI from a guy already for 130 million for our expansion, but we're showing proof of concept over the next 2 years to show him what it looks like. So we'll see. And then we also have a new company we just launched called FAFO Holdings, and we're invested in new construction condos in Naples, Southwest Florida. So we just went under contract for 2 new luxury condos, valued a little over 13 million. And I'll raise another 2.6 for concession. And then we'll close out. And then I'll eventually, once they're all built, in about 2.5 years, I'll do a bridge loan and then we'll flip out of them, make a profit.
Sure. And so these are new construction residential condos?
Yep.
That's cool.
And my partner has been a developer and been flipping homes for 20 plus years.
You guys ever consider multifamily?
We haven't. That's not her background. That's not my background, but it seems like everyone around us is in multifamily. So
Yeah.
it's not out of the question.
Yeah. I could see you being, doing well in it. Yeah. It's just a different game. It's like a smaller private equity, but it's like very strict. Here's what we're following. Here's how we're doing it.
Sure.
And it's a group of people get together. They're the general partners. But yeah, you may be splitting profits 80-20 with limited partners, but depending on the value that you bring, there's levels within the general partnership, and we own all let's say it's a $10 million asset. Like we all get to do that together.
Then you have your cash flow, you have your carried interest, you have your depreciation. It's similar, just different assets.
And so like the cool play is you're buying easy to run businesses, and like by improving the value of the property and increasing the rents, now the property, because a single family home is based off like the location, maybe how it's designed a little bit, but it's really, there's only so much you can control, right? It's if you buy a house that's worth this much, there's only so much you can really do. Yeah, if you come in and gut it and flip it, you can, but even then, you're not going to like quadruple the value unless it's like just a plot of land and you're flipping it, right? But with multifamily, it's, let's say you buy an asset that is $10 million. The rents are at 800, but the market rents are like 1,200. And then you can even go in there and add more value, and you could probably push it to 1,700. You've doubled the value of the asset because the banks view the value of the asset based off the cash flow, based off the rents, right? So you can cut expenses, you can raise the rents, you can improve the value. So as long as you have a good team together and a good business plan, you can execute, like you're not doing all of it, right? And so that's how it's like you buy it, you're going to increase cash flow by doing that, but your equity multiple is going to be way higher and way easier because all you're doing is raising rents. All you're doing is improving stuff. So you're not brand new construction going crazy with it.
So what's the thing you like most about multifamily? Because I know that you're pretty new to it still, right?
Yeah, I've been in it about a year now.
Oh, okay.
I would say the main thing to me is it's a great, safe, secure way to build wealth and help with taxes. So a lot of people look at real estate with multifamily and stuff and they're like, oh yeah, it's about the cash flow. That's cool. It's part of it. I think there's a stat where it's if you invest on average returns, like $2 million, then you'll get back around, I think it's $8,000 a month, right? So that's 120 grand or whatever. Like you can live off that. That's great. But the main thing is being able to roll that money over into deal after deal, have that equity multiple on the exit, and have all that depreciation. So a lot of people don't know this. With bonus depreciation and a cost seg, you can just wipe out a lot of tax. Even if you're a general partner, or you can prove to the IRS that this is what you're doing and you're a professional real estate investor, not only are you lowering and what depreciation does is it lowers your taxable income, right? But you can use tax credits where you're able to lower your taxable amount dollar for dollar. So it's just, this is how the wealthy play of like buying assets, increasing wealth. Because we've all made even somebody who doesn't have the best job in the world, we all make money. What are you going to do with it?
Right.
Like, where are you putting your money right now?
Yeah.
So
It's smart. It's similar to car washes too.
oh yeah, super similar.
We have the 60% bonus depreciation, and we're doing the tax credits as well.
Yeah.
So it's very similar. The little difference between, I think, what you're doing and what I'm doing is you guys are probably doing a refi, cash out refi eventually, then using that money to invest into other properties and expanding.
Yeah.
That's a nice add-on bonus too.
Yeah. It's actually, so like in single family, it's a cash out refi. But that's the other thing is, so for example, we got a deal under contract right now. It's Class A, it's brand new, it's awesome. So in our projections, it's like in year 5, we're going to refinance, right? So we're going to pull out a lot of that equity. So you'll have a 2/3 return of your invested capital. You'll still have a third in there, but then in year 10, we'll refi again and you'll get all of your capital out.
Okay. So you guys are doing long-term holds.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Class A play is new. The B and C we've been doing. So that's a property that's 30 years old,
Sure.
needs property. So that's when we're really boosting the value. And then we're just going to sell it and have no invested cash in it. And it's still going to be writing you checks. You're still going to get the depreciation.
I was going to say no to that.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But people bought all these properties before, around COVID, when the rates were super low, and now the rates are jacked up. We're literally buying this property for $500,000 less than what they bought it for. So that's how it's easy, where you're just being able to recycle these properties. But the car wash is cool because your cash flow is like way higher, right?
Yeah. They're cash cows.
Like crazy.
Yeah. Like average gross is around 2.6 a year per location.
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah. And we have about 45 to 50% margins.
So are you guys still looking for investors, or you guys are shutting it down?
No, we're still looking for investors. So
Really?
we have 4 locations right now, expanding to 35 to 40 over the next 5 to 7 years. So we're looking for investors per location right now, about 1.5 per location on the equity side. And if somebody wants to come in as a larger partner, we'll open up our holding company to own the construction, our hold co, the 4 car washes, and then everything moving forward. And during that same time, I'm talking with JP Morgan, Raymond James, Merrill Lynch, all the big banks trying to set up a revolving debt facility. So we have $50 million annually that we can pull from. So we're not diluting ourselves equity wise, and we can just pull debt, buy the land, build the facility, and grow quick. And if I can set up also a term B loan where we have growth capital over the next 5 to 7 years with a bullet payment in year 7, right when we sell, that would be ideal. So I'm trying to figure that out. That's all new for me. So I'm trying to learn how to structure that right now.
That's cool. How are you trying to learn how to do that?
A lot of trial and error, a lot of conversations with presidents and owners of banks. And I'm really learning from like big players in our market that have already done it.
Yeah.
Like Misters had just structured like a $900 million plus revolver and a big term B loan. So I'm taking plays from their playbook and just trying to do it on a smaller scale. And then really having conversations with founders and owners and presidents of banks saying, this is ideally what I want to do. What can we do together to make this happen so it works for both of us moving forward? Let us help you. Let us help us. Let's both build our balance sheets and move forward so we can, grow together.
So dude, that's awesome. So do you love this?
I love it because it's also new and I like new and exciting things. And like when I'm having conversations like this, I feel like I'm pushing the boundaries because most of the time they don't know the answers. They just don't know how to do it right now. So it might be just outside of their box, or maybe it's inside their box. They just don't know what it looks like yet. So it's fun for me.
Dude, let's go. And it's coming full circle. Like when you think about what you were doing in the past versus what you're doing now, like you've been in the asset game for a little bit.
A little bit.
but now it's like really to the next level.
A bigger level. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
You just want to have big exits. That's the main thing.
Might sound crazy, but this is like a much smaller play inside of a bigger idea of what I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
So like the car washes, we're going to be raising roughly 280 to $300 million for our expansion. But you break it down into smaller things, it's not that big. But this is just one play. This is just car
Right.
washes. Eventually, I'll start a fund for our new construction condos. Then we'll probably start a fund for self-storage.
Mhm.
We're talking about opening up competitors for Topgolf, where we're investing in those types of things. And there's the thing I want to do long term is I want to own a minimum of 20% of different asset classes where I invest in the operators already having these companies to show proof of concept long term over the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years and just expand that way.
Mhm.
So then I can have institutional investors just have a fund of funds, have bigger investors come in, and then I can just allocate funds to the operators. This is just a small play in a much larger play.
So what got you interested in the fund world, the asset game? What got you like really believing in this and this is what I want to do and stepping into it?
It's just learning. I'm evolving every single day and every year. So I grew up really poor.
Yeah.
And my first business, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd go sell insurance, life insurance of all things. I didn't know what that meant. And it's like the first time I sold a policy and I made $2,500 in a day, I thought I was rich. I was like, this is all I have to do. And then it grew into bigger things and it kept expanding. And I kept learning from people like Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Harmozy. And there's all these guys that I learned from, and they're doing much bigger things, even though they're younger than me. And some of them are older than me. And it's like, I have so much to learn still. And the guys in the finance world, they're kind of under the radar. So you have to dig deep and find out what they're doing. And while I'm doing that, I'm thinking way too small. Car washes, that's cool, but there's so much more I can be doing.
Do you feel like a couple more like deeper spiritual questions about this? Do you feel like obviously it feels like God has led you into this path, right? So do you feel like you gain a sense of purpose from doing this?
That's a hard question. Yeah, I think I'm still trying to figure out what my purpose is.
Really?
Yeah, I think it evolves just like everything else. When I was young, my purpose I thought was just to make money and get out of what I knew, being poor, not having a lot of money. And then when I had money and had a bunch of stuff, I was like, that's not my purpose anymore. I wanted more. And it was helping the people around me and helping the people grow around me that kind of had similar backgrounds to me on my team. And now I want to create something even bigger.
Yeah.
More generational than anything. But I think my biggest purpose, and it's always stayed always stayed the same, is taking care of my parents and my family.
Yeah.
I just want to retire them
Yeah.
and take care of them and have them enjoy life. So it's like, that's my biggest driver right now.
Have you had that discussion with them of hitting their number or what they need to do? Because I'm only asking because I'm like thinking the same way.
Their number is probably different than my number. I know what my number is for them, and it'll change their life.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're getting closer to that?
I'm
or
on track.
Dude, let's go.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I have a couple friends that I watched them do the same thing for their parents. And it was like the best feeling I had for somebody else watching him do that. And they're living a completely different life now. Don't have to worry about money, get to travel, spend time with their grandkids. That's what I want.
So what did he do to them?
One of them, he started a company when he was 22.
Yeah.
And he's doing $400 million in revenue right now from just that one company. And he's getting ready. He's launched 11 others now.
Sure.
So he put a chunk of money in a money market account with some other investments, and his parents are living life.
So do you just want to write him a check? Do you just want to buy him a house? Like,
no.
how do you want to do this?
I have exactly what I want to do. It's a certain amount. I have a number in my head. And once that happens, it'll be invested in some assets that I'm growing. So they'll get a dividend each month that they get to live off of, and they'll have certain rules and restrictions. They can't be dumb about it. Yeah. So
Or you'll
cut them off with consequences like when I was a kid. Right.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I'm like, they got me by the throat here. I
Yeah.
can't really cut them off. We got to be careful. But that's awesome, man. I feel one of my friends welcomed me into 2021 because I just bought my first TV ever. And I had YouTube on. And I was like, man, this is great. I came back and it was like this Christian finance podcast or something. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. It was talking about one of the top ways for wealth is actually one of the first reasons for wealth is to provide for your family. And, how that's a good godly thing. And we celebrate, even in culture, to do. That's something that we don't do, like generational living and like taking care of your parents as much in the US.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a big desire of mine as well. But that gives you a big sense of purpose. What other gives you a sense of purpose?
I've met someone over the last year, so
Yeah.
taking care of her, giving
Yeah.
her the life that she wants and deserves. I want to do that for her too.
That's
Yeah. And then
awesome.
for me, you probably heard this. And I remember, I think it was for your birthday one year. I don't know, maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
We all sat around the table and you were like, I want you guys to go around the table and tell us something that you want to accomplish or make something happen. And for me, I think what I told you then is still true to this day. And it was like, when I get to heaven and I meet God at the gates or whatever it looks like, God's going to say, hey, this is the man you could become or could have become. And this is who you are today. I don't want there to be such a deficit between those two people. So I'm trying to become that person he thinks I can become every day. And that is like my biggest purpose. We have just a little bit of time on this earth and I am trying to use it all.
Do you feel like that's that verse in the Bible when it says, I forget the exact context, but it's like, what you want God to say, well done, my good and faithful servant.
Yeah. Or what's up, homie? Welcome.
Yeah. You feel like you're far off from that?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm so far off.
What do you think would bring you closer to that?
Just utilizing my time better. I think I'm still trying to figure that out day by day.
Yeah.
With everything new going on in my life. You probably know. It's like you have a million things you could be doing every single day. What are you focused on more than anything? And I'm trying to just focus on the things that I need to and not waste time on tasks and certain things that aren't revenue generating or taking me towards my goals and my purpose. Everything could take you away and drag you down if you let it.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to write a list of things that you shouldn't be focused on every day.
Yeah.
So you can focus on the things that you should be.
Do you keep like a vision board or like goals or anything in front of you?
I used to do vision boards and now it's just, I have different notebooks of different goals for the different businesses and personal things. And I have goals until I'm 50 written out. Oh yeah. And I look back on them every year and see what I can check off and what I'm close to or what I'm way off on.
Do you break it up by like relationships, business? Like how do you categorize them?
Yeah, it's business, it's relationships, personal things I want to buy, how I want to become, skills I want to learn, and skills I want to become better at. Those are the main ones.
That's awesome. What are some of those skills you want to learn?
I always have sales at the top and speaking because personal like public speaking.
Yeah.
It's always been like a big fear of mine.
Really?
It's always on the top of my list.
Are you afraid right now?
No, this is like my last podcast. Like this feels natural. And I spoke at a Shark Tank pitch event a little while ago.
How was that?
It was awesome. Yeah, I came in as a public speaker and talked about raising capital for the companies that were pitching and the investors that were in front of us.
To go out of town for, but I remember you were really talking about that. Are you guys going to do something again like that?
Yeah, every quarter we're going to have one.
Dude, when's the next one?
I don't know yet. So my friend Sebastian, which I'll introduce you to, he's starting a fund up in Canada for tech companies, startups, and he does road shows all across Florida and the country. So he brings companies from Canada and all over, starts at Tampa, does St. Pete, Naples, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and they basically bring people into a room. I help bring investors. We have some other friends that bring investors in, and then the companies pitch them. We have some guest speakers, and then they basically just go around doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll definitely get you in the room next time.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. So you want to learn get better at public speaking, better at sales. That's really cool. Anything else? Play the piano or?
No, I'm done with the music stuff. Used to play guitar way back in the day. I think communication in general is just the one thing that I need to get better at.
Yeah.
always. What about you? What are some skills you want to get better?
Raising capital.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, raising capital. Man, I want to get in a lot better shape. And you look in great shape, by the way. You look like you're aging in reverse.
I've just lost 54 pounds. So
Did you mean to do that?
no. I joked around. My girlfriend and I moved in together, and everyone's, what happened? I was like, she locked me in the back room, so I can't eat
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
jokingly. But the biggest thing is intermittent fasting. So
Oh,
I stopped
yeah.
eating breakfast, stopped eating lunch.
Yeah.
I have like nuts and fruit kind of throughout the day and just tea. And then at night, I'll eat whatever I want. I'll have dessert, pizza, pasta, doesn't matter, as much as I want. And I lost 54 pounds doing that.
Wow. So what's your eating window?
Usually, like when we go out, we'll go out to dinner at 7, and there's nights where we stay out till 1, and I'm drinking, eating, whatever. And then I'll wake up and we'll fast till dinner the next day.
So you literally, it's
almost like a,
one meal a day, 7 to 7.
Yeah.
Dude, that's intense.
with some, well, you have nuts and fruits and little snacks.
Throughout the day?
Yeah, that you buy,
Oh, that's not too
but not
bad.
like a full meal.
I've never done that. I've done intermittent fasting where I'm like, I start eating at 11 and my last meal is at like 6.
Yeah.
So it's like a 7
Sure.
window, but you'll eat whatever you want. We'll go
Unhealthy.
in.
I'll eat unhealthy. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I ate unhealthy yesterday, but like I've been eating so clean. But then like today you look a lot more fit and healthier.
I've been working out twice a day, every day for the last 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm putting some weight on, and yeah, I'm leaning out a lot.
You trying to get to the next level? What are you trying to
I'm
do?
just trying to look good again.
You look great, man.
Thanks, man. You did too. Trying
Thank
to keep
you.
up with you.
I tell people, I'm like, I just lost 17 pounds of fat because I went on this 8-week challenge.
Oh, nice.
So I was like jogging in the morning for an hour and then doing it was just like literally in the gym for over 3 hours. So an hour and a half in the morning. Oh, I'm like exhausted from it. I'm like, I'm
Oh, I
taking a
bet.
couple, 2-3 weeks off, but get on the calendar. We're training by the end of the month. And then an hour and a half in the afternoon, because then like train weights for an hour and then another 30 minutes of cardio. I don't regret it because I'm like, dude, we're young now. Now's the time to get in elite shape for life, right? Because I look at guys and I'm like, dude, I know you're 50 some, but if you were in better shape, you'd be way better off. You wouldn't be thinking about retirement.
Oh, that's one thing I want to get better at. It's flexibility.
Mm,
That's the one thing I've noticed.
really?
As I've aged, I'm like, I used to swim in college. So I was like super flexible, could do the splits, touch my hands on the ground when I'm standing straight up. Now I bend over a little bit. I'm like, oh, like so stiff as a board. I see that are 50, 60 years old that are flexible and that they focus on their mobility. They're way better off than anybody else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Have you ever thought about getting into like jujitsu fighting or something?
Eventually, yeah. I actually want to do that. Maybe not jujitsu, but I was thinking of MMA or some kind of fighting.
Same. I
Yeah.
tried to do jujitsu. When I went to Texas, I bought the gi, I signed up for a gym, and I'm like, this is awesome. And I went to 2 training sessions. I'm like, this is great. It's like wrestling.
Oh, I know.
It's cool because you're like,
Throwing people.
yeah. Like I was going against this one guy and he was like way older than me and didn't look like he was in good shape at all. And I was just flat out stronger than this guy. But after a minute, when I started to slow down, dude, he just tied me up like a minute.
Yeah.
He just was calm and cool. Like I was throwing him around just because like I was just stronger than him. But I was like, dude, this guy knows what he's doing. Put me in a pretzel. I was done. It felt like he was going to rip my shoulder out.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like-
believe that jujitsu is though one of those sports where it's like you're playing chess, not checkers.
Yes.
There's so many moves and it correlates with business so much. There's always a counter move for somebody else's move. So it's like unlimited learning.
Dude, when you ask me what skills I want to learn, that's how I feel. Every time I start to learn a skill, I'm like, I got to learn this one. I want to learn patience more. I feel like you do have. I look
Learn-
at you, I'm like, you got it. And that was actually one of the first thoughts I had when we started sitting down. I'm like, man, this guy's got some poise, composure, and patience.
Oh, thank you. It doesn't feel like it. Just ask my girlfriend. She probably won't say the same.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, seriously, though, patience. So I got pulled over the other day and I was speeding. And historically, I drive pretty fast. And I'm like, man, why am I always going so fast in a hurry? I'm like, it's hurting me. I'm like, God, can I please not get a ticket? Please don't let me get fined. And the guy came back and he was like, I'm just letting you off with a warning. And I'm like, hey, what do you, and I stopped him as he was walking back. I said, why didn't you give me a ticket? And he just walked back. He's, listen, I just didn't feel like it. I'm like, God, thank you. I'm like, I need to focus on driving slow, try and slow down with everything, eliminate half the things I'm doing, and just like, how can I go slower, but be doing the right things at the right time?
Hmm. I agree with that. I'm a fast driver too, and I don't plan on slowing down because I like driving fast. But there's this saying that I always keep in mind: slow is smooth is fast.
That's just,
I
I said
love
it
it.
to Chris the other
Yeah,
day. It's crazy. I think about death all the time. I think about life is
short.
so short. I'm like, man, we're in this season now. I feel that same pressure of, man, I've got to get on it because life is here and it's gone. And that next season is coming. And I'm like, I have to go. You have to go faster. You have to go faster. You have to wake up earlier, go harder. So I'm like, man, that's something that I'm really like, it's important, but it has to be tempered. But it's like, we have to get there now.
I struggle with that.
Same.
Yeah.
It's like an achiever's thing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's some kind of addiction. I don't know if it's an achiever's thing or it's something that we tell ourselves that we have to do in order to achieve. Because it's like I've met some millionaires, billionaires, guys that are super successful. They wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep early. I'm like, I'm outworking you every day, but I'm nowhere near what you're doing. Am I doing the right thing? And I question everything I'm doing. It's like, do I have to be waking up at 4 in the morning every day, going to the gym, doing all this stuff? Everyone's doing these cold plunges and all this blood work stuff. And it's like, I just question it.
Mm,
And lately, we've had so many things happen with some close friends, family members,
hmm.
like tragic things. So
Oh
people have
man, sorry
passed
to hear that.
away, and it's really put things into perspective for me and the people around me.
Hmm.
And it's like, life is way too short. And there's days where it's like, I'm miserable. And it's like, we all have days that we hate, right? Work is
Hmm.
work, and there's always going to be tough days. Most days are tough.
Yeah.
You're doing anything that is worth doing, right?
Hmm.
And there's days where I argue with people for no reason over stupid little things. And I don't need to be doing that. It's a waste of my energy. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of their time, waste of their energy. And I'm really trying to shift my perspective on certain things, which is so hard.
So is the shift in perspective, it's to, it sounds like it's almost to be more grateful,
Definitely. 100%.
right?
Because I take a lot of things for granted. It's like I woke up this morning, my girlfriend was like, you would have people die to be in your position. And I'm like, I need to just wake up and think like that every morning. When
Really?
yeah, but it's only been like this last 6 months I've felt that way. Before that, I was always positive, and I was like, "I get to do this today." And then there's days where I'm like, "Ooh, this is tough. I just wanna
Yeah.
sleep."
Yeah.
So I'm just in a weird moment of life right now where some days it's just,
Dude,
heavy.
I appreciate the honesty, man. I really do.
I'm sure a lot of people go through that.
Hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. This is new for me, so I'm kinda learning the ropes.
One of the cool things was when I moved to Texas, I got to create some different relationships and went to a different church. A guy wrote a book. And one thing that's been really a big impact to me is the Sabbath. So I know that's in the entrepreneurial world that we're in, everybody's working all the time. And disobeying the Sabbath, not taking one day off, you know what the penalty for that was in the Bible?
Death?
Death.
Yeah.
You'd get killed if you were working on the Sabbath. But I wake up at 4 in the morning too, right? Like I'm trying to maximize every minute of the day. And even on Sunday, I'm like, and sometimes I wrestle with it. I'm like, I could be working right now. And I try and dismiss not even thinking about work, not even doing work. Even if I know I could, I'm like, oh, why don't I just call this guy back or just send this email? And I really fight myself on that one day. And what I'll do is I just really repeat after myself. I'm like, God, like, you restore my strength. You restore, because it says in the Bible, He will restore your strength, lift you up on the wings of eagles. The righteous will run and not get tired. And I'm like, okay, like, and that one day off has been huge for my mental health. It's like God's cure for burnout. Like taking time off and resting. And man, I think about that too. Like I've known people that are like, so I'm on also on a big purpose kick right now. I'm writing a book, planning on recently releasing it on my birthday. It's called Porn to Purpose.
Really?
It's helping men quit pornography. And you don't have a porn problem, you have a purpose problem.
Dude, I love that.
Thank you. I'm like, this is something I struggled with, and a lot of people do. Let's do this.
A lot of guys struggle with that.
Yeah, most. Who hasn't watched porn?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, really going deep into purpose. And I'm like, I can't identify with my work. I can't identify with my success. I can't identify with my fitness, my business. It has to be in Christ. That's where I have to really root my purpose and draw from my identity. And it's, wow, I take that day off and I focus on like, I'm forgiven. My identity is not in these things. My identity is not even in my future or in my past. And it really gives me gratitude. I'm like, all I've got right now is this moment. Do you like try and take a day off like that?
I used to I don't know when it changed. It was probably about 5, 6 months ago. So it's like everyone that wanted to do stuff with me, I always said, I don't have any time except for Sunday. So if you want to go hang out at the pool, if you want to go to the beach, if you want to do something, I'll give you Sunday.
Yeah.
It was mainly with my girlfriend at the time. So when we first met, it was like, I'm sorry, I don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
But Sunday is your day. We can have all day to do whatever you want. That's my time to relax, hang out with you. And that changed about 6 months ago.
Really?
I think it's just because we have so much going on.
Yeah.
Like she's buying businesses, I'm starting businesses, we're doing a business together, and we're always on the go.
Yeah.
There's never enough time in the day.
Yeah.
And we just had this conversation about it a couple nights ago. It's like we need to make time for that Sunday just to have a break because
Oh, yeah.
it changes our mindset and relaxes us, puts things into perspective. And like you said, it just gives you that sense of like purpose. You know what you're doing and gives you that break so you're not burnt out.
And it's like, why do we want to achieve? Like, we want to achieve a certain result really for a feeling. If you get down to it, it's like, okay, well, I want to make X amount of money so that way I can have X amount of thing, achieve this, do this for this person, and essentially feel a certain way. But if we can give ourselves the gift and permission to just enjoy those feelings and those things now, I'm kind of the same boat. I don't really hang out with anybody during the week, right? Like, I mean, as far as like leisure and just, hey, let's go do this or whatever. Yeah, I'm just working literally all the time. But then like on Sundays, it's hung out with like my family after church. We went and got some food, went to the beach with somebody, hung out with somebody afterwards, came back and just, relaxed and hung out. And I'm like, wow, like all those things that I want to do in the future when I make the money, I give myself permission to do that on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's more than just not working. It's doing things that refresh me.
100%. And it could be like the most mundane things or even like the fun things. Like I like to go car shopping,
Hey,
even when I can't afford cars yet that I want. It's like you're programming your mind to, once you get to a certain point, like I like to envision what my future looks like.
yeah,
So when I go test drive certain cars, it's like, I'm going to be in this car. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I know in the future I will be paying for this car that I'm sitting in right now.
yeah.
And same with houses and wherever. It's skills. This is all the stuff I'm learning too.
And with all that said, it's helped me with raising money and being around more successful people than myself.
I bet.
So part of the reason I was hating on you is probably because I was jealous of you. I would have never, I literally just thought of that as I was saying it. I said I wasn't weird, but I was weird when it came to certain successful things. I was just had such an inferiority thing. And now where it's, okay, if my identity isn't what I do and how successful I am, I can just be me. I can be me and all my weirdness and all my like whateverness. And it's like, I don't talk perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be imperfect. I'm actually trying to get better. But it's like, I can just, okay, here's what it is. Here's what I'm doing. If you want to be a part of it, great. If not, no worries.
Oh, yeah.
It gives me so much power. I'm like, okay, I can hang with anybody. It just helps me out.
That's a good place to be. I am not at that place.
Why not? You are at that place.
I'm in a different way.
Let's go there right now.
Yeah. So it's like, I have a new friend over the last 6 months. uber successful,
Sure.
down to earth guy in the finance space. And him and I went out for drinks one night and we were talking. He's at a point in life where he doesn't need to talk to anyone and everyone. And I'm at that point in my life. I don't want to surround myself with negative people or bad people if I know about their backgrounds. So it's if you're not a good person, I don't want you in my life. And
Yeah.
he's at that same place. So it's like him and I network and connect each other with people all the time. And I do that with other people in my network all the time. But him specifically, he's like, hey, if you know something that this guy has done that's negative or bad in some way, shape, or form, please don't introduce me to him. And I'm the same way with him. And it's like, that's almost everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm very particular about who I introduce him to and vice versa with me. And those people that we introduce each other to are some of the best people in my life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, how'd you get connected with this guy?
I was introduced through a guy local in town who has a hedge fund. They've done business together.
Going back to some of the things we were talking about earlier, how else is your mental health going?
It's different lately. Yeah, I've been struggling with it.
Yeah.
That's been a big thing on my road to success lately. Yeah. I'll open up, get a little deep right now. Started therapy for the first time in my life, going twice a week, learning a lot about myself. Growing up, I'm learning about my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I am really good at putting things into a box and burying them very deep down in the back of my head.
And never bring it up again.
Nope. And now they're all coming up right now over the last year.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it's like a series of unfortunate events that have culminated into this big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten to a point where it's like there's no more storage left to put some boxes in there. So they're just all starting to open up to make room for all the other crap that's going on. Yeah. So not great timing with all the big stuff I have going on, but I think it's needed. And I think it's all happening for a reason. So I'm learning a lot about myself right now.
Dude, that's really good. Do you find the therapy to be beneficial?
Whew, some days.
And how long have you been doing it?
Probably constantly every week for the last 4 months.
That's good.
Yeah.
You've seen some progress?
I don't know how to define the progress or what
Yeah.
that looks like.
Is it in person or virtual?
Virtual.
Is it a Zoom or just phone?
Zoom.
That's good. Okay. I've actually never done Zoom therapy. I've worked with a coach remotely for years, and I've done like ministry things, weekends and stuff in person, which have been great. What would you say that's been the most impactful thing from it?
Ooh. Most impactful is probably just opening up and just letting my guard down. I always have a wall up with everyone I meet. So speaking to someone every week about very personal things makes you be vulnerable in a way that you never have been before. It opens me up to other things that I haven't paid attention to,
Mm-hmm.
not only just in my personal life, but business and everything around me.
Yeah. Man, I'm really excited for you.
Thanks.
And I really admire your power of owning it and being there and just acknowledgement. And
Easier said than done. I am
it
ready
really
to feel
is.
normal again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's something that it's like anytime we go through a season of transition and change, this is something that I thought was really interesting. So like when I got divorced, I literally felt like I was dying. And I was Christian, I was born again, but I felt like I really got born again. And what's interesting is in life, we're always moving forward, or we should be.
Yeah.
And whenever you look forward, you always have to reconcile the past because your perception of the future is always referencing the past. So the fact that you're doing all this recalibration, resolving this, it's God's about to really throw you forward into different areas. And it may not be financial and successful, but it's just inner peace and just happiness and contentment. You know how it is. Like, man, you could have the most financial success in the world. It really doesn't matter if internally we're not right.
Right. Or you have
So-
people around you that you care and trust.
So that's something that I feel like you've really gained some experience in and learned from. And you're really careful with who you surround yourself with.
I am. Yeah. Especially after my past. Everyone's been screwed over. And I think just from learning from certain people that
Mhm.
I'm very protective of who I let into my circle.
So what are the things that you look for to bring into the circle?
I look for people where their actions and words align.
Mm,
And I am like an FBI agent now. It's like real bad. Like probably to a point where it shouldn't be, but I like dig into people's backgrounds and their past, and I pay attention very closely to what they say.
yeah.
And if something doesn't align, or like, how do I say this? So like when I'm hiring somebody, I test them even with my first email, which is probably bad. Probably drives a lot of people nuts, but it's like when somebody applies to a position, all my posts say, give me 3 days and times that work for you, and we'll set up an interview. Most people don't give me 3 days and times. They give me 1 day with 3 times, or they give me
Oh,
two
yeah.
days with 3 times. And I'm like, that's not what I said. If you can't follow these simple directions, like you're not even listening to the first thing I said. I see right through people now, and I pay attention to some pretty significant things.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, man, that's something that it's just integrity. Integrity.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And so what are some of the so that's the things you're looking for, integrity, and then as a byproduct, it's we're gonna stay away from people that are inconsistent, not telling the truth. What else?
That's the thing, man. It seems like that's everyone around in business. It's like there's some kind of inconsistency.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of my struggles because if I hold everyone to the same standard, it's like I'm never going to do business with anyone because everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
No one is perfect. And I struggle with that.
Mm.
I want everyone to be perfect just so I can do business with them because I'm so jaded in some ways. And that's like my biggest struggle right now. And
Mm.
I think that's holding me back from what I should be doing and what my potential is. So that's some of the things I'm trying to work through because of some bad people in the past have hurt me in certain ways.
So I'm gonna take this a different direction. The girl that you're with now, she's amazing.
Incredible.
When you started to enter into a relationship with her, were there things that you knew that were probably red flags or pink flags? Or were you not looking at those or
Oh no. I still say there's red flags and it
Eh,
drives her crazy.
yeah?
Oh yeah.
Eh? You're like, "That's a red flag. What are you
Yeah.
doing there?" I'm like,
You're a
"Cra
walking red flag, babe.
yeah.
We're a year in our relationship, but I'm still like, you're a walking red flag. I don't know why we're together. But she says the same thing about me. It's like
Oh, what are your
we
red
have this
flags?
we have this
We're not talking about
Yeah.
there.
Let's change the subject now. Let's wrap this up. It's a great show.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me on.
That's awesome.
She's the first person that I can be myself and be real. And it's like she knows more about me than I know about me. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And she knows more about me than anybody ever. And we're doing therapy together actually too. So it's like,
good for you guys.
yeah, we're learning a lot.
The reason why I brought that up is because I'm actually kind of flip-flop from you. Like, yeah, I've had some issues in business, nothing too crazy. And so, yes, I'm being very careful, but I'm a lot more like, hey, I've got a lot of vision. I got a lot of things going on. I'm almost looking for certain partners. But then on the relationship side, I'm like, whoa, you know, almost expecting perfection in some ways. I think I'm looking over those things now. I'm really not even like looking for somebody. I'm like,
That's when it happens.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so on my purpose. I ain't got time for that.
And now it's gonna happen. You'll be married in
Yeah,
2 months.
I know, right? So, it's just like we're in some regards, it's like, oh, yeah, there was some issues here, but it's more like, it's almost like a prosperity thing. Like, I'm focused on the goal. Yeah, stuff's going to happen, but here's where I'm going. I feel like maybe that was how with your relationship of like, hey, it was more like we're focused on connection and yeah, there's some issues. We're going to work through it.
As long as like for her, she wants me to work on myself along with us working together and
Yeah.
vice versa.
Mhm.
Like if we're not working on ourselves first and we're trying to work on things together, the together part's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because we still have to grow internally before we can grow together.
Hmm.
And that's been a big challenge for both of us because we're so different in a lot of different ways that we're trying to learn how each other communicates. And that's been a big struggle. So she's very harsh and direct and like type A. And I'm type A, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Where it's like you said earlier, I'm patient and sometimes stoic, and it drives her nuts because she just wants me to be like it's happening right now. We're doing this. He wants me to be aggressive. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's just not how I've done business
Yeah.
unless I really need to be.
Yeah.
So communication styles are very different. So we're just trying to understand each other in the relationship and how to communicate
Do you feel like you're trying to change yourself at all?
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a good way.
Okay.
Like earlier, how I said, I got to become the person that I'm supposed to be when I get to
Yeah.
heaven.
Hmm.
I have to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a lot to learn.
Have you ever gone on a fast?
Yeah, actually, I think one of them was with you.
That's right.
Yeah, we did a 3-day water
Yeah.
fast.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you got a lot of value out of that?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. My girlfriend and I just did a cleanse. The first 3 days was a water fast. And this
That's
was
right.
the last 2 weeks. I failed. I cheated. Apparently, you can't have tea when you water fast, and you can't have tea with honey in it. So I had tea.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
So she's like, "You're cheating." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been doing a cleanse. No gluten,
Yeah.
no sugar, no dairy. Um, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
I actually want to try doing like a 7-day water fast. And we also talked about doing like a 2 or 3-day dry fast. We have some people we know that have been doing like a weekly 24 to 48 hour dry fast. And
Weekly.
weekly,
How long they've been doing that for?
years.
Dude, I'm shook.
Yeah. Sounds crazy.
They just don't eat or drink anything.
We're thinking about starting doing it for 12 hours and move up to 24, see what it feels like. Just to see how it is.
If you do-
Fully cleanse your body.
Yeah. If you do either one, let me know.
Okay.
Because the longest fast I ever did was 5 days, and I want to get to 7.
Yeah.
And I had a bad experience with the 5. It was like, I'm like nervous to do this
Really?
7. So actually, it was it was a 0-calorie fast, but I got some great, excellent medical advice off YouTube, and I was following it, and it just wasn't the best. So I told my family, hey, like I'm experiencing like these symptoms because I was taking my vitamins still, and I was like drinking a lot of ACV, apple cider vinegar, and I just felt like almost like chest pains. I think it was probably just my esophagus or something. I don't know.
From the acid?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like acid reflux or
Yeah.
coming up because the vitamins are looking for fat, soluble, but there's no fat and just the acids. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And I got freaked out and I had a little keto tester and I was like, man, my blood's like in way. And one of my friends was like, oh, make sure it's not ketoacidosis. And I'm like, oh my God, am I like freaking out? Yeah. And so like I broke the fast and I was like, I talked to my doctor after and she was like, what were your ketones? And she was like, oh, you were fine. Like, but I felt like my mind was like going crazy.
Sure.
She was like, you were probably just entering into a really deep detox for you. And I'm like, I'm sure that's all it was. Like I was fine. There was no need to freak out.
Heart level was fine. Heart rate was fine.
Everything was fine.
Huh.
So I really just psyched myself out. And I remember I felt like the Lord told me not to do that. Jake, he was like, Jake, just go to bed, wake up in the morning. This all happened that night after a more night. And I was like, oh, I checked in, freaked out. Right. And it was like, I could have just stayed the course another 36 hours, gone the full 7 days. But whenever I fast, man, it's crazy. Like massive breakthrough. Massive.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it's like results last beyond the fast, but it's like the decisions I make in that fast. And it's like things get clear, more rapid. I get breakthrough. It's, when you talk about like resolving negative self-talk, I swear there's no better way to do it. Quickly. You can do it over time with therapy and speaking and stuff, like speaking out your words and visualizing things and assuming things and prayer and meditation and all that. But as far as you combine that with the fast, man, it's awesome.
For me, it's always been working out. That gets the negative self-talk out of my head.
Oh, yeah.
Except for when I work out with you. That's the one thing.
I know, right?
I was this
Self-talk
dude
gets
who's
worse.
smaller than me, lifting more than me. I'm like, this is not how it should be.
Dude, I hadn't worked out in a while. Where are you working out? You still working at NCH?
I just got a membership there again, actually. I was just working out at our condo association, and then I joined NCH about 2 months ago.
I'll have you over one of these days. We'll work out over here. I'm sure you'll like it.
Yeah, give me a couple months, I'll get strong again.
Yeah, I know. Let's get in there. Since I've lost all this weight, I've definitely gotten weaker.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So last year I took a peptide, like 2.5 months. And dude, I got crazy strong. It was that like gets the ghrelin responses
Yeah.
going. So got so hungry. And I remember talking to the guy on the phone. He's like, yeah, man, you just got to be careful because it's going to make you hungry. You don't want to get fat. I'm like, oh, I'm not concerned about that. I got fat. I
Did
gained
you?
almost like 30, 40 pounds or something.
Oh, wow.
I got up to 217. In Christmas, I have pictures. It was 217. Now,
Like unhealthy fat? Or was it like a clean fat?
no, it was a dirty bulk.
Oh, okay.
It was a
Like
dirty bulk.
pizza.
Oh,
donut.
I was like, I just need calories.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Well,
to
I get that. I was eating 13,000 calories a day back in
13.
Well, I was swimming twice a day, working out twice a day. This was back in college. So
Oh,
it's like
okay,
I
yeah.
had to put weight on while I was swimming. Yeah, it was crazy. But dirty bulks are not fun.
Dude, that is the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Now I weigh, it's taken me almost a year to get 8 months to get a lot of it off. Granted, I'm in better shape, but now I'm 182, 183.
Okay.
So I've lost 30 some pounds, 35 pounds since then. A lot of fat, but I'm like, so definitely some muscle too. But I'm
Yeah.
like,
So now you're going to start taking Tren?
let's do it. No, I actually just got a blood test to figure out what the next one would be. Not that, but I got great results. And I only took it for 2.5 months, 2 months, and I didn't even take it consistently.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, my body's really, even to caffeine, my body's super sensitive.
Oh, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
A little bit of caffeine, that's like my pre-workout.
Yes, I just need a little espresso, a coffee, and I'm good.
Yeah. I do some amino energy and some coffee, and I'm like a freak in the gym. Yeah. But I have raised T levels from when I was in college. I went through.
Really?
Yeah. I was in the hospital for a while, and my T levels were raised permanently. I'm not supposed to take any pre workout or anything.
Really? What are your T levels in now?
I haven't tested them for a while, so I don't really know. I just know if I have a little bit of something, I am like jittery like crazy, and it lasts for a while.
I can tell you have high testosterone. Yeah. So what else is going on, man? What else you want to talk about?
Oh,
What else you got?
I don't know. Not a whole lot has changed.
But a lot has changed.
Oh, a lot's changed.
But you're still you.
Just evolving.
What do you like to do for fun?
We like to go to new restaurants, travel a little bit.
Yeah.
I go to car shows.
Oh, that's one thing. A couple things I wanted to talk about. So, where are you liking for food these days?
Ooh, we like in town. We like this place called Lola 41. It just opened right down the road from us.
Okay.
Lake Colonial. We go there quite a bit. We were there last night for dinner with some friends. Real good food.
Yeah.
We like pasta and
Dude,
malto.
yesterday, you know what I did? I picked up some Jets pizza.
That sounds so good.
I brought a cooler. I had a whole bunch of watermelon and like a fresh Jets pizza on the beach. I was eating watermelon and pizza. I was in heaven. It was awesome. Like, it was so nice. Then I went and got Culver's afterwards. It was awesome. I got the big old, they had a cookie dough swirl. Dude, it was
A
awesome.
cement mixer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Those are good.
So where you been traveling? Where are you going?
We haven't traveled a whole lot. Usually it's like we'll go to Miami or Brickell for a weekend.
Yeah.
We just did a trip up to Port Charlotte a couple weeks ago for my birthday at a place called Sunseekers.
I've heard of Sunseekers.
It's actually great. Yeah. Stayed up there for 4 days. Sometimes we go up to Chicago. We got a place up there.
Dude, that's cool.
We like to travel. We will like to travel when we have more time. Yeah.
You were really big into like dune buggies and like ATVs and everything, right?
I just grew up around it. Grew up in Michigan, Indiana, and we had some sand dunes up in Michigan. And I just grew up going on driving dune buggies, four-wheelers, and then it evolved into trophy trucks and sand rails. And then we started a business around it.
What was the most amount of vehicles you had at one time?
15. Yeah.
And you grew a social media presence and everything from all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. We were doing daily vlogs, and I had 30,000 followers on Instagram, which is nothing compared to today.
Oh, yeah. But those were real back in the day.
Yeah.
Those are real followers.
Not the ones you buy.
It's crazy, man. I want to buy some though. I've thought about it.
You can, but you have to create content around what you're doing before you buy it.
How do you know? Yeah, I know a guy. But yeah, the problem is even if you buy them and you got, let's say, 100,000 followers, because that's a flex and it's your digital resume. So there is value in having a big following
It's huge.
above just being able to monetize it or what you would actually use it for. But even if you have a huge following, you have a zero engagement, that looks terrible.
Right. And there's you're in digital marketing, so you
Yeah.
understand this. So it's like, I don't know what you guys do specifically, but there's marketing agencies out there that will guarantee you like 10,000 followers a quarter. But on top of that, they'll give you 1,000 views per video, 25 comments, 50 comments,
Yeah.
bunch of shares, likes. So it's like a combination of things.
Yeah.
But if you're doing all of those things, you have to have the content to back up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just looks fake. And there's a lot of people doing that. So it's like you can tell when people are buying followers because one, there's no engagement, or two, the content's terrible.
Yeah, for sure. Because one thing I was thinking about doing is, have you about like I think it's in Peru, they're big sand dunes and everything.
Dubai?
Well, Dubai has them, yes. But like, okay, let's take anywhere. I think California,
Glamis.
North Carolina, I think in Michigan, I think Peru's got the big one, or in places in the Middle East. If
Okay.
I wanted to go like dune buggy or sand buggy and all that stuff, how would you recommend it? Like you rent something, you go somewhere.
You got to get in with the locals. If you're going overseas, you got to get in with the locals because they have all the fun stuff. If you're going to rent something, you're getting
a tour.
You're getting like a go-kart.
Yeah.
If you know the locals or some friends that can take you, you're getting in 1,500 horsepower or 2,000 horsepower. You're doing like 360 wheelies. You're jumping 100 feet in the air, like the real stuff. Oh yeah.
Do you ever miss that?
I miss it every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, let's get back to that.
I think like everything has a chapter, and that chapter of my book has closed for a while.
Sure.
And I know I'll come back to it at some point because I still have goals within the off-road industry and the on-road industry. Like moving down to Naples has opened up my horizon for motorsports. So it's like a bigger picture thing is we want to start our own motorsport company, racing, and have a feeder team for young kids to go into GT4, GT3, racing professionally, and then expanding into trophy trucks, which are racing that doesn't make you money. And I learned that from a young age that shouldn't be doing that at 25 years old, because all it did was like, the one thing I learned was trophy trucks and off-road racing. The only way to become a millionaire doing that is if you were a billionaire. There's just so much money going out and no money coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Supplying the stuff.
Yeah, but it's like the trucks are one-off, all custom built niche. It's
Yeah.
not like you go pick up a Ford Raptor at a dealership. It's like
Mhm.
the frame is all custom. Every little part is custom.
Yeah. They really are unique. Like when you were showing me pictures and I started looking them up and everything, like, because I saw a video recently of somebody doing a rally. I'm like, dude, this is dope. This is wild.
Yeah.
This looks like
Fun.
Yeah.
The car rallies are cool. I've done a few of them down here.
Oh,
yeah.
I've never done one of those. I've seen also like side by sides.
Yeah. That's fun.
Oh, what would you call that?
I don't know. Trail riding.
Yeah, trail
Yeah.
riding or something like that. But
I was going to say, switch gears, but what about you? I know you had the phone cover company. What's going on with that?
yeah, so that's doing great. So that's really growing, hitting the best months I ever had. And that's developed into like more digital marketing. Because when you're selling online, running ads, building pages, you're doing all the digital marketing skills, those are translatable to,
Everyone.
yeah. So I started doing marketing for myself, other people. And that's led me to, okay, how can I maybe start acquiring other agencies, other products, other things? And in that process now, as I'm taking on kind of more clients within my own agency, creating more content, is where I'm at now. And then also feeding those skills to real estate with multifamily. But multifamily is all about building wealth. It's got me into the asset game. I'm
Sure.
like, oh, what is this? How does this work? Playing a bigger game. So it's really just, okay, taking those skills and let's play a bigger game. Like we'll train up an operator, put them in here, start to acquire something for the asset or the cash flow. It's like, yeah, let's just multiply this. So that's my like near term future is like transitioning myself into that kind of PE. I want to grow through acquisition. So I'm still growing my brand, but let's grow it through acquisition. Let's grow it through those paid channels and organic channels that I have. And then just really just start bolting on things to it. Right. And eventually have a big exit one day, probably the next 3 years with that. But then at the same time, I just want to have this massive portfolio of high quality assets. Right. And then with that comes, you can sell it off, you can roll it up. There's just a lot of things. I think I'm starting like the vision was fuzzy, but now it's becoming more clear. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like when you do the smallest little grunt work part of every different area of the business, I'm like, wow, I didn't see growth for a long time. This time last year, I just finished having my best months. And then I was on the phone with bankruptcy lawyers. I'm like, this is not fun. Strongly considering bankruptcy. What are the implications of that? And then I ended up consolidating debt, restructuring things. And here I am almost a year later. And it's like having the best months ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
Learning to play the game of patience. Because it took me a couple years to learn the skills. And now it's okay. That was the years of learning. Let's transition into earning and building. I don't see any exits in my future for a while. I want to acquire. So that's where I'm at.
I'm glad you touched on that because most people, especially in the digital age we're in, they don't talk about that at all. Most people, like for me, I feel like I got lucky with my businesses because it was such a short period of span where I started and sold things. Like most people don't talk about the hard stuff, what you just touched on. So I appreciate that. You have to put in the work to actually get to a point where everything becomes secondhand nature.
Mhm.
It's like the little things. Like you probably heard this analogy. There's a professor who teaches this pottery class in college. One of the classes, he tells them that I want you to focus on building one pot as perfect as you possibly can. And you're going to be graded on how perfect that pot is at the end of the semester. The second class is I want you to make as many pots as you possibly can for the whole semester. You're going to be graded on how many you make. At the end of the semester, the class that made the most pots also made the most perfect pots because it was blunt force trauma. They did it over and over and over again. And they got so good at it, they could make them so fast. And it's the same thing in what you just said. You have to go through those actions over and over again until it becomes second nature and you're on autopilot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
most people don't put in enough hours in whatever they're doing, raising capital, selling covers. You have to do all the hard work to get to that point.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about that. So I'm glad you said that.
Even if you suck, there's value in it.
Like, if you're doing anything new, you're going to suck at it.
It's this flip flop of like, man, I'm a success. Man, I'm a failure. It's 80% of the time thinking I suck. And then 20% of the time going, oh, maybe it's less than that. I'm like, wow, I can do this. Like when I leave the house, I feel confident, but in here, I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, how can I get out of my head in these four walls to feel more confident? I'll tell you what was like one of the biggest things for me was when I was like doing well. I'm like, oh, wow. Like what, like I don't really like this anymore. Cause I got around some real ballers and they were really way better than me at the time, making way more money than me. And two things happened. I was around people that were way more successful than me. And I was like, wow, I don't know if I really have what it takes or the skill set or the drive in this area to get there. Just being honest. I was like, dude, wow, these guys are legit. And then I'm like, okay, what if I pivoted and sold it? And then I'm like, oh, wow, like I'm making a lot of money right now. I could exit and I'm a millionaire. Like on paper, I'm a millionaire. I cannot believe that. That was paradigm shifting. And then a couple months later, I'm like, I can't sell this. I'm actually broke. So that was one thing that really shifted for me last year. And then the other thing was I started working on some passion projects and giving myself grace again. And I had friends that were my age that I grew up that were married, had kids, ran businesses, traveling the world with being the true owner, not operator, making a ton of money. They could sell at a moment's notice to private equity or whatever. And I'm like, dang, that's what I want. Right. And I want to be him in some ways. But at the same time, I'm like, so what do you want to be working on? He's like, bro, honestly, like, I wish I was more like you doing what you want to do. Yeah, I did this, whatever, but you've got purpose. You're working on stuff. And I'm like, I just couldn't believe that. I'm like, how?
Perspective.
I'm like, no, seriously, how? I'm a broken man doing these things. And the people, and then 2 or 3 other people said it. They wanted to be like me. And I'm like, whoa, that was humbling. Honestly, I was like, something's wrong then. If I don't feel that way about myself, but the people who I want to be say that about me, something's got to change here. And it's definitely not them. I'm like, Jake, maybe success isn't all financial, or success isn't all this. Maybe success is a little bit more of this. So those 2 things were really big.
Those 2 things that I took from what you just said. One, the patience thing is like, you got to think in decades, not months. Most people are thinking so short term, right? And then
Yeah.
the other thing is like, when people are looking outside in at what you just said, everyone has problems. Some people have big problems. Some people have small problems. Everyone has problems. If we all put our problems out in front of each other in a pile, you're going to pick your own problems back up because you're not going to want anybody else's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to feel that way about yourself and what you're doing.
Dude, yes. It's all about what you think about. Your beliefs determine your thoughts, which determine your feelings. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. There's people on planet Earth that will never have sex. There's people on planet Earth that will never make $1 million. People on planet Earth that will never try alcohol. There's people on planet Earth that will never, like, your experiences that we think are common are not. And what's the value of that? Like, when they go before God and they have this discussion or whatever, like, maybe the conversation with God isn't like what you've done. It really is like what you believe. Number 1, to get you through the door. And then number 2, it's about stewardship. People aren't valued by God based off what they produce. We're valued based off what we believe and then how we treat each other. And I'm like, man, that changes perspective. So I believe you get to heaven essentially, or you have a relationship with God based off believing what he already did, just simply accepting that. And then number 2, just like in the Bible when it says, for you were created for good works. And also it's God's will that we have, I'm paraphrasing, we bear fruits of the Spirit. The good works and fruits of the Spirit you can't do on your own. Those are byproducts by believing the Bible, essentially the word, right? And so that's what produces the fruits of the Spirit and good works. Good works are faith works. They're works that are produced out of faith. So everything that I'm even rewarded in heaven, everything that I'm even rewarded from God in the afterlife or in heaven, it's all based off what I believe. It's nothing to do with what I've produced or the actions that I've done, because my character and destiny and actions are all byproducts of the beliefs that I have. So how can I simply just change what I believe to align with the word?
Have you figured out what you need to do?
What do you mean?
Like you said, you're trying to figure that out. Have you figured it out? Have you made a shift in what you're currently doing in order to make that happen?
Oh yeah. The shift really is separating what I do from what I believe about myself. Right. So it's like, I feel like a failure because I don't have this specific result yet. Erasing that. So the end road of what I just explained is being able to feel good about myself because of what God has done. So I no longer have to identify with getting these results in order to feel at peace, in order for me to feel those things. So that's really enabled me to, and honestly, when we get so focused on these specific results, and when we get so focused on, I have to achieve this, you really start worshiping money and mammon. And no, I don't. I worship God. Like, I'm not living to make money. I'm not living for success, which changes the game, because then, and that's actually how you make the real money. Just like what you were talking about. Like, we know guys that got way more money than us. It's like the Bible says time and chance happens to us all.
That's so true.
Time and chance.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I don't really have control over a lot of stuff.
We don't. We try to control the uncontrollables all the time.
So why not be the coolest guy in the room? The coolest guy in the room is the one who's simply secure in himself.
Easier said than done. But you nailed that.
Right?
Yeah.
The coolest guy in the room is like people who are just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. How can I bless you? Like, hey, that's cool. They're not trying to be flashy. They're not, I mean, if they're flashy because that's just who they are, that's cool. But they're not, it's not over the top for this. I'm trying to get attention for attention's sake because I don't know who I am. It's like, oh, I'm good, man. I
Yeah.
don't need this.
And people are drawn to that.
People are,
Yeah.
you've seen that
I know.
because you carry that.
Firsthand, I have seen it. People are drawn to you.
Yeah. You just got that energy where it's, yeah, this is going to be the returns. So you want to get in or not?
Yeah. It's going to be like this. I'll be here
We're going to make money.
with or without you.
Are you going to make money?
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, man.
Yeah. So what about you, man? So like you asked me what my goals were and vision and everything. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, sure. I'll say by the time I'm 40, so in about 8 years, the long-term goal is develop into who I am, have a net worth $100 million, be in elite shape, be married, be a lot more like philanthropic and mission-minded at that time. So I got all those goals written up there. And then the next 3 years is be like fully operational in those functions. So like that probably means in order to get that net worth, like the first thing would be like increase the assets under management that I have. So that should probably get to about 100 million. And then I probably want to do a couple of shows. I want to learn how to do like probably kickboxing and then just develop myself, be ready for a relationship and continue to like give back. So I'm now a director of a nonprofit. So that's helping. So the mission behind that is like with this new digital age, because before I was helping men quit porn. Now I wrote the book, but it's like there's a bigger problem looming ahead with artificial intelligence. So you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, 1 billion people are going to be addicted to AI.
Oh, I believe it.
1 billion.
I'm already one of those.
By just using ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
So I use ChatGPT daily and other AI tools, but like people will be addicted to an actual.
Oh, like robot person that you can talk to and have a conversation with.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different kind of addiction.
Oh, yeah. So like the progressions of AI is teacher, the way we're using ChatGPT. Hey, do this research, do this. And then it's going to become lover, friend, then lover. Oh, wow, I love this because it's serving me in a way. And then it's ultimately going to become God to them because it's supplying all their needs. So they think. But those relationships don't really exist.
Right.
So we're trying to get ahead of that to help equip the church and everybody else of saying, here's the problem that's coming. Here's how we can do it. I'm trying to get ahead of all that stuff. And so one of the other directors has already developed basically a more biblically based and moral language model. So, AI model. So we're just seeing how we can best use that in lieu of some of the others.
What's the nonprofit?
It's called Digital Integrity.
And how did that happen? How did you guys get tied together?
So he's been one of my best friends when I lived in Kansas. We just stayed in contact, and then I told him what I was doing with helping men quit porn. And he was like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to turn it into a nonprofit. And he was like, bro, this is what we need. This is what I'm interested in. So we were talking about it, and then we got connected with some other people that are doing great things. So the other director, he works for Stand Together.
Okay.
So that's the Koch's organization that helps with philanthropy and other organizations to help with causes. Like it used to be really political driven. Now it's just a lot more like nonprofit driven and mission minded. We'll be raising some money for that soon and providing some solutions. So he's actually coming down here. Maybe we all get together. Yeah, I feel like that actually could be great. He's coming down. We're going to shoot some content, probably create a course or some things and create some products.
I just got asked to be on the board of American Heart Association. So I just joined the board
Really?
a couple months ago.
How'd you get into that?
I got asked out of the blue. I don't know. It just happened.
That's like a big organization, isn't it?
It's huge. Yeah. And I'm co-chair of the Heart Gala also, which is their biggest charity gala in Southwest Florida also. So yeah, it's big.
So the Heart Association, like the board of the local area or like,
Of the local region.
do you have connections to like the health industry or like with the heart issues?
I just being healthy and an advocate and having a business. And I think they just look for those types of people.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Good for you. Is this like your first time really getting involved with the nonprofit stuff?
It is. Yeah. First time.
That's awesome.
So a new step.
Man, dude, I got to say, it's really good to be connected with you again.
Likewise.
I know we've been busy and you've been on your path and I've been on my path, but I'm excited for the things we're going to do together.
Agreed. It seems like the boys broke apart because everyone moved away, and it feels like everyone's coming together again, which is nice.
Yeah, I would love to continue to get together and hear more about what you've got going on. And I know you're busy, but how else can we get more involved and how can people find out about you?
You can go to my Instagram, you can go to my website, Skyler_Warnberg or relicsholdings.com. That kind of talks about all of our investments, what we're doing. You can follow my personal journey and follow my life.
Well, love you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's awesome.